Hey, Mackenzie, over here. How are you? First off, how's it feel to be fighting in Abu Dhabi? Obviously, a country that's known for its jiu-jitsu. So, how's that feel?
Yeah, it's so good to be here. It has a special place in my heart. The last time I fought here was like 9 years ago, and from my jiu-jitsu career. So I won some of my best titles here, absolute world titles here, and they have like ADX competitions too and things like that. So I'm really enjoying Abu Dhabi and all their investment for martial arts and jiu-jitsu in the schools and everything that the sheikhs do for martial arts in Fight Island and UFC. So to be, 8 years later fighting for the UFC now, kind of a different part of my career, but always representing jiu-jitsu, it's so nice. And to be able to have my daughter here to see, experience Abu Dhabi, it's really, really good experience, good vibes.
And you're taking on Loopy Godinez. She's up there in stats when it comes to takedowns landed, takedown accuracy. She said she's not afraid to go to the ground with you. Do you believe her, or do you feel like she's going to stand and strike with you?
I think she'll stand and strike, I think that she probably has a good base. So I think, if she feels like it, maybe she'll try and take down and do like ground and pound. But, we saw her fight with Virna, who, pulled guard and, Lupita lost, so I don't know how much she'll want to risk being on the ground and even being on top if you don't work too much. I know that with experience, being on top and controlling, it doesn't always win the fights for you. You kind of got to be doing damage and things like that. So I don't know if she'll want to risk that, especially because we're both coming from losses and we both want this win so bad,
And yeah, you took me to my next question. I was going to ask, did you learn anything from her fight with Virna that you feel like works to your advantage?
I think just seeing her lose to Virna, I know MMA mathematics doesn't always make sense, it's like one beats one and then that one beats the other. It's like a whole circle, so it's kind of hard to explain that and how the games work. But I definitely saw a way to win. I saw like, hey, even she has good takedown defense. If we need to, we can just pull guard somehow. You know what I mean? I think we both go forward. We both kind of clash in this fight. So I don't think finding the distance will be a problem. It's a little bit harder when you're fighting someone who's kind of running a lot, a lot of movement. She's kind of more in the pocket. So I really feel confident that worst case scenario, if I can't get a takedown, we can pull guard and I'll be kind of in my world there. But I learned a lot from that fight.
And you said in a recent interview that if you want to become a champion, you need to stop brawling. I know you're known for your toughness. So is it sometimes that once you get hit, you can't help it and you get lured into it? And what do you have to do to make sure that that doesn't happen?
Yeah, it's like maturity, I think that's just maturity in life, and in my career, of course, I've been working that in my personal life. I think women in general, we're more emotional, and sometimes we can get overstressed about things and stuff like that. So I've been working that a lot on my day-to-day life, and that made it way easier to transition that to my professional career because, obviously life throws lots of different things at you that you're not prepared for. But what's the worst that can happen in a fight? A jab, a cross, maybe like a spinning back fist or something, But you kind of know what's gonna happen, There's nothing too crazy that can happen, and you're training every single day for that, So I'm way more calmer now, and it's basically what you said, Like I go in with this focus, like okay, I want to take it down, I want to get in and get out, and then you start getting a little bit frustrated when you see the people moving, and you start to get a little bit behind on the points, where they land a shot, and it's just understanding like it's a fight. I'm gonna get hit, the same way I'm gonna hit them. I don't need to hit her back like 20,000 times because she hit me once. I can kind of see, and when I'm in the training and sparring, I see everything. It's like everything flows, So I've been focused on training that in the gym, bringing that to. I think Lupita will be a good fight for me to practice that. I feel a little bit similar to Angela Hill, the style. I think Angela beat her once and she beat Angela once, so I feel it's that same level a little bit. I don't know how many like top 5 fighters Lupita has fought. My last few fights have been like all former champions or title challengers, and really hard hitters. So, just trying to keep that. Or if I'm too calm and I'm trying to stay on the technique, then I fall behind on the points, then I have to do the brawling, with like 1 minute left. I think I always have that card in my back pocket if I need to, but just getting that maturity level and knowing, the right times to use it and the right times to like stay calm and collected.
And one last one from me. When Zhang Weili doesn't have an official fight booked, there's Virna, there's Tatiana Suarez. Who do you think should get the next title shot?
I think Virna, for sure. I think Virna's tested herself with a lot of the top girls, and I mean, Tatiana was supposed to fight Amanda Lemos. I ended up taking that fight for her when she fell out, so I know that Tatiana's like undefeated, but I don't think she's like, I don't know, she's had so much injuries and kind of always falling out and things like that. It's not like consistent. So I really think Virna, she's come back. She's proven herself with like Amanda Ribas, with me, with Lupita, with Marina. Like she's fought like so many tough girls, and I really think that she's kind of proven herself. And I mean, she's taking these girls down the way I wish I could have it easy like that, So make it easy like that. So I think she's really proved herself, and I would like to see Weili with some grapplers like Virna.
Hi, Mackenzie. So, as a highly profile fighter, jiu-jitsu fighter, I know like your big wins, like Gabi Garcia, you have demonstrated that dedication, and it doesn't matter the size of a person. So what would you say to the girls that wants to start the jiu-jitsu career? And most of all, that in here is so difficult for the culture, and for example, we are from Oman, and the jiu-jitsu is not well developed there. So, and the girls, it's difficult for them to have partners to train. So what would you say to them?
It's so hard, I know that sometimes for the women to train with the guys, it's like a little bit frustrating and maybe sometimes can be uncomfortable, and for me it's a little bit easier because I grew up training with my dad, so I grew up being okay to being like in that personal space and the sweat in your face and all that stuff, so I mean definitely I would say to try and find that women's jiu-jitsu community if possible, but if they do, decide to train and be with the guys, I say like try to go at them, like 100%, because the women's 100% is maybe like the guys 70%, so that's what makes us, get better. It's just trying to like not kill them, but like attack them the whole time and trying to beat them. And then when we do train and fight with the girls, you see it's like way easier, So just being consistent, try to be brave, and go out there and take the first steps. And once you start to fall in love with the sport and feel being comfortable, being in the personal space, with the guys and the girls, I think everything will start to flow, but kind of just be as consistent possible. You don't need to be like 5 times a week, just twice a week is good. But and I think it's the most important, especially for like self-defense, jiu-jitsu, if you fall on the ground and someone's like attacking you, that element of surprise, it's like the guy's gonna try and attack you and, all of a sudden you're doing like a triangle choke or arm bar and he's not expecting that, so really think about the long term and the fitness, the self-defense. There's so many good things about it for women especially.
Another one for me. And what about your game plan for ground floor in this one? Are we gonna look on your jiu-jitsu techniques like we all love?
This fight, I'm ready to show like I'm better than Lupita in all areas. That's my goal. I was training for this. I was training for this even before I knew who I was gonna fight. Kind of like the last question. I'm working so much like to mature. I'm always fighting against myself in the fights, and now I understand I can't fight against myself in the fight because my opponent's already fighting against me too. So it's 2 against 1. So now, no matter who's in front of me, I just need to win that person. I need to beat them, do what I need to do to beat that person, no matter where it is. If it's standing, if I can't get the takedown, I'll beat her in the striking. If I can beat her on the cage, beat her on the ground. I've trained everything to fight and win in all areas. But, of course, I don't want to get injured. I have a super fight in 2 weeks, Craig Jones. So the plan is like, my hope is to get in, clean, win, and get back to my training to be able to still do my super fight too in a couple of weeks.
Mackenzie, I was actually about to ask you about the Craig Jones Invitational. Obviously, you're competing there in a couple of weeks. I'm sure you want to get out of here with no damage to go into that one fresh. But talk to me about what CJI is doing for the sport of jiu-jitsu and what Craig Jones is doing for the sport.
Man, it's good. It's so good what he's doing, because I think like athletes out of the way, just to have like kind of competition with organizations is always good for the athletes because they kind of both trying to, hopefully they kind of push each other to get better for the athletes and how the fighters want to fight in their program. We see even with like UFC, Bellator, PFL, all these things, they kind of, even though they're competitors, they push each other. Hopefully, Craig Jones is more than just a one-time thing, because it's like more than $2 million in prizes. I hope that we can keep that. But originally, I was supposed to fight ADCC. I was scheduled to fight ADCC. It was a little bit hard on my heart to leave the ADCC and go to Craig Jones. But, man, it made sense for me, my comeback. It's like 3 5-minute rounds, no points, like 10-9 point system, like MMA. And one super fight, and I have a purse just to fight, a good purse. So compared to ADCC, that's the same purse, like for many years, it hasn't gone up. I know the ADCC title, it's tradition, I already have one, so it's like, it was hard for me, it was really special to fight there. But it didn't make sense for me to, go back in ADCC when I have this awesome opportunity by Craig Jones to fight for their event, and hopefully they can keep it, and hopefully that pushes ADCC too to put the price money for the fighters up too.
Yeah. You have your super fight. There is another super fight at the tournament. I'm curious your predictions for Craig Jones versus Gabby Garcia.
I actually haven't seen like the comparison size-wise, them next to each other. I'm trying. I remember Gabby is really, really big, but Craig Jones, I'm not remembering his size compared to her. But I really think that if he doesn't take care, she can just like hug his head and put her weight on him, and it will be like really hard for him. Of course he's a guy, so I'm interested to see how that will be. I think obviously too, if she messes up some position, he can catch her back or submit her. But yeah, for sure, I think it's not like an easy fight for him at all. And I'm excited. Gabby's really forward out. She's out there and she's courageous and stuff like that. So I mean, we train and we spar with people. We spar with the guys in training, but it's totally different when it's like in the fight in competition.
Mackenzie, how much pressure do you have on you having your dad, your daughter being here? I know you're extremely loved here in Abu Dhabi. The fact that you're going from ADCC to Craig Jones, you're fighting, like I said, 3 generations are here. Your dad is right here. I just saw your beautiful daughter here. So how much pressure do you have on you? That's one. Especially, I don't want to bring it up, but are you okay with on the personal life as well? Because you always say that there's a lot of pressure on that.
Yeah, no, that's why I brought them out here, because of my last 2 losses. I always say like a little superstition, but my last 2 losses, my daughter wasn't at my fight, and my last win, she was at my fight. So it was really important for me to be here and kind of to calm myself down when I get too like, I'm in a fight, I need to win. That's kind of like when I feel that pressure that I need to brawl, and I end up falling into that energy, that it makes the fight almost harder for me than when it needs to be, So to have my dad here, my daughter, we've been out here for 2 weeks. I feel like I'm just back at home. I'm about to go do a sparring, and that's what I'm feeling. I'm doing my regular routine, regular diet, my workouts, my training. I kind of, Moa here keeps that mom vibes in me, like, okay, everything's normal. I'm just going to do one more day in the office Saturday night and see everything. And my personal life, it's good. I'm remarried. My husband, he just fought in Saudi Arabia against Shada, actually, who's fighting on this card. So it's really cool to be like now with focus on 2 people who have the same goal to be champions and stuff like that. So there's no pressure on this fight.
You've been often criticized that you're a grappler, one of the best female grapplers we've ever seen, thanks to your dad. But does he criticize you when you brawl, like Farah called it, or do you, to go to striking mode? Because, strikers will be strikers, grapplers will be grapplers, no matter how much we fool ourselves. Do you get criticized for this, that you try to strike while you're one of the best female grapplers on earth?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a good, constructive criticism, but he definitely, says, oh, you need to grapple more, we need to hit, and go to the ground, He's very on top of me. He wants that game plan, but at the same time, he understands it's a little bit different. Like, I see a difference in how the strikers fight someone like Virna, who we all know that Virna has really good grappling, and how they fight me, I think even with me, they're a little bit more on the defense and aware than with Virna, for example, speaking Portuguese, for example. So, yeah, I mean, he understands it, but he definitely, after the fights, he says, no, don't fall into it, don't fall into the striking, But at the same time, I can see him seeing me like I'm a warrior. On my birthday, he gave me this picture frame of my face with Amanda Lemos, full of blood, and he gave it to me so proud. And I'm like, Dad, I'm so ugly in that picture, I don't want to put that in my house. He's like, no, you're a warrior, yes, So he definitely sees that fighting spirit, and I think he's proud of that. But I mean, we're jiu-jitsu people, So definitely we wish we could be like Khabib or Tatiana Suarez or Vina and get in and get out and clean. But if we need to, we're down for the dog fight too.
Здравствуйте. Издание «Азия Плюс», Адаша Шахзод. Скажите, пожалуйста, как такая красивая девушка с красивыми глазами попала в этот вид спорта? И как вам Абу-Даби? Успели посетить достопримечательности?
Could you tell us about your history in martial arts, how it all began for you, and a few words about Abu Dhabi? Do you visit some places here other than the hotel and the arena?
Yeah, so I started jiu-jitsu when I was 3 years old because of my dad. He's had an academy since I was born. So I was born into martial arts family. I didn't really have any choice but to train. It took a little while for me to understand that other kids, at school, they didn't do jiu-jitsu. I thought that was the routine of everyone. You wake up, you learn to brush your teeth, you learn to go to school. I learned to go to jiu-jitsu, and then I realized the other kids don't go to jiu-jitsu after school, So for me, it was always just a lifestyle. And I accomplished all my goals in jiu-jitsu, and was right when Ronda Rousey was a big thing, and everyone, all my friends in MMA, they said, no, you should start MMA, try MMA, no one has the jiu-jitsu like you. So I said, okay, I'll try it. If I like it, I'll stay. If not, I'll come back to jiu-jitsu. And I tried it. I liked it. I think a lot of the fans put this idea that I'll be the next Ronda Rousey, but my journey has been totally different. She definitely was inspiration for me, but yeah, it's definitely different. I think from the beginning, Royce Gracie was the #1 champion, the first champion of UFC, so people respect jiu-jitsu from a lot. I think judo, people didn't really give her the respect that she deserved from the beginning, so she had kind of that element of surprise. Jiu-jitsu, you come into the UFC, a jiu-jitsu multiple-time world champion jiu-jitsu, people already they're way more aware and train their whole camp for you, prepare for you. So yeah, I've just been on this journey now. Thankfully, I think I went into the UFC with a lot of support from the jiu-jitsu community. I have the Brazilian background and the United States supporting me. And yeah, I have such a good connection with Abu Dhabi. I love Abu Dhabi. I've been here so many times, maybe more than 12 times, competing for work, for seminar, for training. And now to bring my daughter here, I go to the mosque, to Dubai, to jet ski around. I'm always having fun here, and I really love it.